Ladies and gentlemen, it's a family affair. Today we have a very ugly person in our midst.
The ugliest of the ugly.
We tried to get him to sit in the car, but he was like, no, I want to talk about God of War. We're like, fuck, fine.
He's actually our driver every day to get here, so...
I just didn't give me a hat.
So that's why he's here, just to annoy us for the next 10 minutes and talk about God of War.
Just to introduce this person properly, this is our brother. His name is Alec. He's
Hi, guys.
one of. There are 5 Laymen, by the way. There are 5 brothers. This is number 5.
Yes.
The last one.
The
final
last,
form.
the last of us.
I got it! Got before I could get there.
So we brought Alec on for 2 reasons. Okay, the first reason is I'm going to be traveling in the next little while. I'm going to go on a trip with my wife, not work related, and so while I'm away, Laymen will continue. Laymen will continue, and Alec will be sort of subbing in for me. Okay, so
Hosting. I'll be hosting.
I'll be back. I'll be back. Don't worry. But I will be gone for a little while, and when I get back, we can kick this guy out. Okay.
100%.
Part 2 why Alec is here is because we were flown by Sony to Norway to play God of War early. They paid for our flights and accommodation, which means we are officially bought and paid for by
that means
Sony.
that we have to love the game.
The fact is, he's the sponsor. And you signed a contract guaranteeing him certain concessions.
Well, that's where I see things just a little differently. Contract or no, I will not bow to any sponsor.
So that's why we thought we would bring in an objective third party who hasn't got a dime from Sony.
Yes.
And then hopefully you can trust what this guy says,
Yes.
alright? So that's the second reason we brought this ugly mug on.
100%, 100%. So guys, as you know, we went to Norway, you watched the vlog, I know you loved the vlog, thank you very much for the positive feedback. We may be doing some more vlogs in the future if you're lucky, but here we're going to talk about God of War. Alec, what did you think of God of War?
Hey, let's start with the shill
yes.
first. Let's start with the sellout.
Yes.
Alright, here we go.
Let's do that first.
Then we'll get the real opinion later.
Let's start
The
here,
real
okay?
opinion later.
God of War. What did I actually think? I actually think, genuinely, that this is probably one of the best games I've played all year. There's too many things...
It's April.
It's God of War or Overwatch, and this beats Overwatch.
Yeah, pretty much, right?
That's right.
Where do you start? Like, the truth is, like, where do you start with this game? The narration, the gameplay mechanics, the world itself that you explore, the father and son relationship, the complete, change in how they've delivered Kratos to us in the way that it's just so different, but it's in my personal opinion, it's exactly what we needed to see. Because if they brought out another God of War in an arcade style, everyone's just hack and slash thing going around everywhere, and no real deep substance to it, it probably would have maybe had a couple of more games in it, but it wouldn't have completely revolutionized, Kratos in a way that you're like, fuck, I want to see another 10 games like this.
So part of me wishes that we weren't sent to Norway. 'Cause
Yes.
what I'm about to say is going to make it sound like...
We're complete trolls.
complete chills. But I'm going to say this and I believe it, so fucking saddle up. I honestly think this is the game of the generation, okay? I have not played a game this good this generation. It is the most remarkable, most astounding video game I've played in a long fucking time.
Yep.
Like, unbelievable. The quality of this game in every metric is just completely mind-blowing. And I say that as someone that enjoyed the old God of War games, but didn't love the old God of War games. Like, I like the old sort of Bayonetta, Devil May Cry God of War. I love that formula. It's cool fun, but I do get bored of it.
Yeah.
This game was about 30 hours long, and in the entire time, I was like jaw on the floor.
Yeah.
Whether it's the environments that you're exploring, the combat and how incredible it looks, the cinematography, the narration, the score, like the plot twists. All of it is just incredible.
I think, like, with previous God of Wars, that, you can love it, but there's something about this new one that you can deeply respect as a piece of art. With the other ones, it's more like it's a hack and slash, you jump on, whatever, it's kind of, not generic, but it's kind of like, it serves its purpose in a very... in a very good way.
It was great for that era, and a lot of people are actually really pissed off that it's gone in this direction, and they're like, it shouldn't be called God of War. Let me just say that this is absolutely a God of War game through and through. There is no way you will play this game and think, that's not a God of War game, man. It shouldn't have been called God of War.
At the beginning, you might feel that for the first hour or so, because you are hit with a completely different experience. You are.
But then things unfold, things happen, you become more acquainted with combat, and after that you're like, this is absolutely a God of War game. Anyway, you've heard enough.
You've heard enough about
from the Sony
from the
fanboys.
Gamons.
What the hell is this guy?
Now you
think?
get some wisdom.
Here we go.
I've been playing video games a long time. A
You
long,
have
long
been
time.
playing video games
20
all the time.
years.
20
pretty
years.
much
This is how old this
what
guy
he
plays video
does.
games. 20 years.
All right, he's like, girlfriend or games?
I honestly believe that God of War 2018 is the finest video game I've ever played. And I mean that in the truest sense of that word. The level of polish on everything of that game, whether it's the combat, is super refined. The pacing is it's pitch perfect.
Yeah.
There is never a moment where there's a lull in not the act. I mean, there are lulls in the action, but there's never a lull in your level of enjoyment of what's going on. The moments of combat transitioning into exposition and delivery of what is a really fulfilling and thoughtful father-son relationship that develops through this 30 hours. The level of polish on that is incredible. The art direction. I believe this is the most beautiful video game that has ever been created.
Both in terms of the design and like what the artists had to think of and the imagination
The
it took,
spectacle of it.
and also the skill it took to create it, and then the technical accomplishment of putting this into a PlayStation.
Yeah.
Like it's a fucking PlayStation.
Yeah.
It's like 5 years old, and I swear to God, it's the best game I've ever seen.
Not only that,
looking game. Best
not
looking
only
game.
that, of course, it's also where they're implementing the spectacle, like where they're putting it. There might be it's so perfectly placed. You'll be playing, and there'll be a few gameplay fights, and they'll throw something in so perfectly timed that you're like, wow,
like a big set piece that you just sort of walk into, and you're just like,
it's so.
Where the fuck am I?
It's they could have easily put too many things together and not given you the time to have the kind of time to breathe in that last moment.
Yeah.
But it's all perfectly done so well. You know.
Yeah, and I think that Sony's touting this single camera perspective.
One take
So-
all the way through. No cutscenes, no loading screens for the whole game.
Yes, so you'll walk into a room and the camera that's over your shoulder will pan out and around, and then the cutscene begins so organically. The camera work in this game and the way that it sets up the set pieces that Sam is talking about and Ralph's talking about it's like one of the best films I've ever watched.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's like Lord of the Rings quality. I swear to
yeah,
God.
yeah,
It's like, and also as well, like the world and the way the story is told. If I had the choice of being in like the Marvel Comics universe, like Asgard and Midgard and Norse mythology, or the Santa Monica God of War version of the same world, I'd absolutely choose the Santa Monica version. It's just fucking cooler. Like there are so many things that you just are looking around in this world and are just like, it's incredible. Like it's totally incredible.
And like, I'm kind of a bit of a jaded gamer. Like I don't really do.
This is 20s, 25.
Yeah, he's like,
No, like
swinging
so
his
old,
whiskey.
Joe, he's like,
I play games.
Yeah, man. What I mean to say
What happened to Banjo?
I've heard every company in the world talk about their single-player, really story-driven, narratively campaign, and then you get in there and you're playing the game, and then the cutscene starts, and you're just like, I just want to play the game.
Yeah, totally.
In those moments in God of War where that camera pans out and it takes control away from you for sometimes 5 minutes, and there's just this huge exposition of the story, the relationships, and the world, I put my controller down and with a smile, grinning ear to ear, because those moments are so well done that the narrative development goes so well hand in hand with the combat and the actual game that you take both as one.
Just to add to that, I think there's so much here for so many types of gamers. There's
totally.
There's the ones that love narration. You'll be more than pleasantly surprised. I think you'll walk away going, "Wow, what a work of art!" Mechanically, people that just really want to sink their teeth into like playing this game, killing heaps of things, feeling like you're the God of War. You can totally sink your teeth into that too.
Yeah.
Also, like just exploring a world that also comes together so beautifully. There's so many reasons why so many different types of gamers will jump on this and go, yep, this is my type of game.
Yeah, and I mean, we were hanging out with Corey Balrog.
Yes.
Who is, that's not how you say his name. Last week in Norway, right? And we were chatting with him on the boat. He just sort of came out and he was standing there. We're like, hey dude, what's going on? And he was talking to us. He was like, I'm friends with George Miller. Okay, and I'm like, all right, fair enough. That's the guy that directed Mad Max Fury Road, by the way. Okay. Now, he's like, I'm going to go to his house next week because Corey's in Australia at the moment. I'm going to show him God of War. I was like, all right, cool. Now, I don't know if George Miller is a huge gamer. I'm going to expect that he's not because he's an older dude now and he's a cinematic buff. He told me his son was into God of War, but that George didn't really care. Anyway, my point of the story is I could imagine few better games to show a director, like a cinematic legend. I could imagine few better games than this game because I can imagine there are very few games that actually capture the essence of what it means to be a video game better than this video game does. The Last of Us, I always get shit for this, but I didn't really like The Last of Us that much. Great story, sort of. I felt a bit generic.
It's funny.
And it was sort of, but as a video game, man, Uncharted looks beautiful, great setups.
Writing.
It's like pushing forward with style, though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
As a video game, this game walks that balance between that cinematic genius, the narrative form, and as a video game, as a playable experience, it is absolutely like exceptional.
And I was thinking that last night. So I was actually lying, and as I was going to bed, I watched a Last of Us review.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking...
The donkey one?
No, I actually watched the Colin Moriarty one from when he was back at IGN.
Right.
But anyway, he gushes over it. And I was thinking to myself, like, what's the best game Sony has ever made?
Yep.
And I was thinking,
This.
it has to be God of War.
It is this.
And so I started going through, and obviously I can think about them, but I was watching reviews of Sony's really big, sort of last 10-year IPs that are basically just Naughty Dog.
And Horizon Zero Dawn.
And Horizon, of course, really did a good job there. Trying to think, like, is this really as good as I think it is?
Yep.
It absolutely is. This is the best game Sony's ever made.
Yeah,
correct.
This is possibly one of the best games of the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It is unquestionably one of the best games of the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It is the best game of the generation, as you said.
And-
I think, just finally, I think I wanted to say, like, there are others, because I was watching also a 20-minute gameplay clip, and so many comments were saying, this isn't the God of War I loved, God of War is dead, blah, blah, blah. I think this God of War is sort of the God of War for, and it's kind of cliche, but for a new generation.
So I think we should wrap up, but I feel like we should just knock over a few particulars. First of all, it's exclusive to PlayStation. Sorry, Xbox owners, you guys can play Sea of Thieves. It's about 25 to 30 hours long base campaign, and then it's about 43 hours, Corey said, for completionist, which feels about right because I've done about 60% of the side content and I played about 30 hours of the game. It's an open world game, but not in the boring, shitty sense where it's just a crappy open world map with like lots of boring check markers. It's better to think of it as a linear game that you can branch off the path sometimes to complete additional dungeons. Right? That's the best way to think of it. But you can choose when you do that, so it's a nice bit of freedom. And the side content is as good as the main content, I promise you that.
Absolutely.
I was enjoying it as much as, or more than the main campaign when I was doing it. It's out on like the 19th, 20th of April.
And guys, we will sadly have Ralph for a few more days, but then we have this loser for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's right.
But don't worry, because I'll be here still, and I know I'm your favorite.